What just happened? It was so bright and sunny.
You know how weather is so unpredictable at times?
What did you say? Weather? What's that?
You don't know about it, Woody. Since we are not going out now, I can tell you all about it.
Wow, sounds good.
Woody, do you often look out of the window and think that it is a perfect day for an ice cream cone or your favorite fried fritters?
Yes, I do. I love food.
Great. Did you notice Andy and his parents were making plans for a family vacation in the mountains last week, and Andy was running all over the place to find warm clothes for himself?
Yeah, I saw that chaos. His sweaters were flying everywhere.
So, you know how we make or change plans according to the weather? Let me show you something in this newspaper. This is a weather report published daily. Look at all these parameters recorded in the report. Woody, these weather reports are broadcasted on TV too. You can see some interesting satellite images on the TV.
Yes, I did find a few interesting things in that report, and since we are not flying anywhere today, let us continue chatting.
Of course, buddy. A typical weather report tells you about the temperature, humidity, rainfall, sunrise and sunset timings, and forecast. The weather is generally not the same on any 2 days or week after week. Even the times of sunrise and sunset change during the year.
So, it means that the weather of a place can change over short periods of time? Sounds interesting. Do you know who makes these weather reports for us?
Yes, you're right. The Meteorological Department of the government prepares these reports. This department also collects all the important data on temperature, wind, etc. and makes the weather prediction.
Interesting. I think I now understand why I feel hot in the afternoon and a bit cooler in the morning. It is because the maximum temperature of the day generally occurs in the afternoon, while the minimum temperature occurs early morning.
Superb! You got it right. Woody, you should also know that temperature, humidity, and other factors such as wind speed, pressure, and precipitation are called weather elements.
Buzz, if weather changes so frequently, then how do we predict it?
Good question. Since weather is such a complex phenomena that changes quite often, it becomes difficult for scientists to predict weather. However, scientists called meteorologists use scientific methods to study and forecast weather.
They must be really smart people. I wonder who controls this weather. Are there some aliens at work?
Funny. As you said, all changes in the weather are caused by the sun. It's the primary source of energy that causes all the changes in weather.
Are you serious? Sun is so far from the earth. How could the sun control it all?
You're right. Earth is approximately 149.6 million kilometers away from the sun. This distance is quite large. But even then, the sun, which is a huge ball of hot gases, at a very high temperature is the source of all heat and light on the earth. Do you remember reading about the water cycle anytime?
Yes, it is all about evaporation, formation of clouds, that is, condensation and then precipitation.
Bravo! Do you see how the sun impacts it all? In the same way, the weather at any place is determined by the energy absorbed and reflected by the Earth's surface, atmosphere, and oceans. I'll share one more interesting thing with you. The weather records, which I just told you about, have been preserved for several decades and are used to predict the weather pattern of a place. Is it?
Yes, in fact, this weather pattern taken over, say, 25 years is known as the climate of that place. We can say that if the temperature of a place is high most of the time during a year,
then the climate of that place is hot. Further, if there is also heavy rainfall on most of the days in that place, then we say that the climate of that place is hot and wet.
Then what about the climate of a desert? How would you describe it? I went on a safari last year and got all sweaty in the sun.
In a desert, the temperature is high during most part of the year. However, during winter, the temperature is quite low. Deserts get very little rainfall and the climate is hot and dry.
In the same way I can say that Mausiram, which I visited last year, has a wet climate as it has a long monsoon season.
Woody, I must say, you are on a roll today. Now you know what climate is.
Yes, I now know about the basics of weather and climate. Since we are talking about this, I just remembered something from the news I saw this morning. The newsreader was talking about how climate was changing and affecting our plant and animal kingdom. It's quite worrisome.
You are absolutely right. There are so many factors that control the climate of a place.
Yes, I thought so. Do you know what affects the climate of a place? I guess it's not aliens anymore.
Oh yes, there are so many factors. For instance, the latitude of a place, or you can say the distance from the equator. As you move further from the equator, the temperature decreases. It means places near the equator have higher temperature and therefore poles are relatively much cooler.
Is it the only reason due to which the places near the equator generally have higher average temperatures than the places at the poles?
Yes. Also due to Earth's curvature and its axial tilt of 23.5 degrees, the temperature drops as distance from the equator increases. For areas closer to the poles, sunlight has to pass through a larger area of atmosphere, and the sun is also at a lower angle in the sky. The rays of the sun are slant and spread over a large area. Therefore, more heat energy is lost and temperatures are cooler.
Oh, I now understand that why countries across globe have different average temperatures. Interesting. What is?
The altitude or height above sea level also affects the climate. The climate becomes cooler as the altitude increases. That is why mountainous regions are colder. Even the wind patterns, including wind direction, can significantly affect the climate of a place. For instance, the winds from oceans will contain higher moisture, contributing to frequent rains.
Oh yes, there are so many factors.
Those are not all. There are still a few more. Ocean currents and distance from the sea also contribute significantly to the climate of a place. That is why places that are near the sea have moderate climate.
Thanks, Buzz. I learned so much today. I never knew so many changes around me were happening all the time. It was such an interesting day with you. Let's continue with our adventures outside.